Hello, and welcome to Real Person Reviews. I'm Sam, and I'm a real person. You remember the last review I did about Duke Nukem 64? Well, in that review, I told a little story about myself, and I mentioned how I wanted Duke Nukem for a while. I was a kid. I played a game. It was Duke Nukem 3D. I didn't know there were multiple Duke Nukem games. I wanted one. My parents got me a Duke Nukem game. It was like 1 or 2, so it was a side-scroller. It was not really what I was expecting. I was kind of disappointed. Then a few years later, a little while later, got Duke Nukem 64. It was great. It was what I'd wanted. And then a few years after that, I found another Duke game called Duke Nukem Total Meltdown for the PlayStation. And I was excited to play another Duke game. And then I found out that it was just the same game. Only it didn't play as well. So I was, rather disappointed. And it's funny because I found a game that I probably would have really liked as a kid. Another Duke Nukem game. A Duke Nukem game that existed on the Nintendo 64. And I didn't own it, nor did I ever see it or hear about it. And you may not have either. And, before I tell you what game this is, let's just say, this is a Duke Nukem game. It's it's a third-person shooter. With Nintendo 64 graphics, mind you. And, well, it's about time travel. Yeah, I mean, based on just the third-person thing, and you're gonna see how it looks in a second. Time travel, and the fact that you probably never heard of it, also that it probably goes for rather cheap, it's probably safe to say that it sucks. But, I'm here to tell you that it's really not that bad. In fact, it was surprisingly good. The game I'm talking about is Duke Nukem 0 Hour. And you probably saw it from the title, but still. Let's talk about it. So like I said, Duke Nukem 0 Hour is a third-person style shooter. And it's a Duke Nukem game, of course. It was actually made by Eurocom, who developed it. So it's not developed by 3D Realms, and it was published by GT Interactive because they just did that during the time, I guess, for consoles. And it's pretty. Look at the premise. Basically, is that aliens have been fucking around with the timeline using time machines. So Duke has to time travel to try and fix the things that they fucked up. And basically, this involves you going to different points in time to fight aliens. You start off in present day, and then you go into the future to fight them. Then you go into the past in Wild West times, and then you go into the past again to like Victorian England, I think. Somewhere in England, I think, anyways. And basically, you then end up in an alternate present, and then try to fix everything from there. And I guess you do it. I mean, it's a really simple plot. It's not like anything crazy that's going to keep you really gripped. But these different areas offer you different things, which is cool. You still can collect a variety of weapons to switch between. You can run around and jump, and there's a lot of voice acting in this, actually. There's surprisingly a lot of voice clips in here, probably because they can do more than the older games could. It doesn't look great. It's okay. For Nintendo 64 standards, it's alright. But it tries to look realistic, and games that do that, of course, those always age pretty poorly. And since this wasn't really a cartoony kind of thing or stylistic, it was just more trying to look realistic, it hasn't aged, well, that gracefully in terms of how it looks. There's a few different modes. I mean, like, if you have an expansion pack, you can play in high-res mode, but I've heard that also brings the frame rate down, so I didn't do it. I just played on low, so it would be, or normal, I guess, is what it was, and so it would play the smoothest. And it looks fine. Maybe that's why it doesn't look that great either. Maybe it looks better in high res, but I played it in that just to see how it looks. And I think for the recording, I might just put it in high res to show you what that looks like. But I might not, so who knows. Surprisingly, it controls pretty well, actually. You know, you can move around. I mean, like, there's like I don't know, like 6 or 8 like control styles you can pick from. You can't custom edit them, but you can pick from a bunch of them, and one of those should work. Varying degrees of things, like some of them allow you to use the stick and the pad. Some allow you to use the stick and the C buttons. I think there might be some for the pad and the C buttons, maybe. And they try to make it as comfortable and logical for you as possible. And it's pretty cool. It actually controls really smoothly and a lot better than I thought it would. You can even change what your crosshairs look like. So, you know, I had the ones I used. I don't know. It's very basic. Go around, kill enemies, and walk around these levels, which are actually pretty impressively big levels. I mean, like, some of them are a bit smaller. Some of them are pretty huge. Some are more scenic, and I think the smaller ones tend to be more like you have to go back and forth over the parts again a lot, and like retrace some of your steps sort of to unlock different things. It still has really good level design, and I do like that a lot. I think some of like the bigger levels were cool, but they had more like references and stuff thrown in there, and they were kind of big for the sake of that. Especially the early few levels have a lot of posters and signs and stuff, you know, making funny little jokes, some of which I'm actually surprised they could get away with after, you know, Duke Nukem 3D had to be butchered so much in terms of some of its content. But you know, there's a lot of cool guns. You know, there's like pistols and shotguns, and there's grenade launchers, all kinds of stuff. There's even actually a sniper rifle in here, which seems like, you know, wouldn't work as well for the fast gameplay, but it works pretty well in some points when you have to strategically take out other snipers, especially. And sometimes taking away tough enemies from afar, and it does a lot of damage. So, you know, like the lack of mobility while you're scoping in, zooming in, aiming, whatever. Trade-off thing, it's kind of neat. In this game, like, you also get the secondary items still. You have a little computer with you that tells you objectives, and I think that's nice, sort of, so you know what you're doing, but also it makes me wonder why. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like you didn't need it, and you would just naturally figure out what to do while you were going, but it just wanted that there, so you weren't completely like, okay, what am I supposed to even be doing anymore? But you still save at the beginning of each level, so if the worst comes to worst, you can always die and then come back, I guess. There's still, in this game also, there are babes to save within the levels. There are secrets to find, you know, secret areas and such. And there are a total amount of enemies to kill, again. And also a time machine part. In most of the levels will have a time machine part hidden in it. By killing all the enemies, or saving all the babes, or finding all the secret areas, depending on the levels and what you do, they can award you cheats to use later on, which I didn't use, because I didn't want to cheat. And I also didn't unlock very many of them, because I oftentimes missed out on finding all the secrets or all the babes. Whatever. And, the time machine parts, I believe, I think I looked that up, and getting all the time machine parts unlocks a secret level, which is cool. They do that, but, I mean, I don't know. Just a secret level, I guess, isn't that super worth it, but it's kind of neat. I can't tell you what it's like because I didn't go to the level because I didn't get all the things. There's also, I guess there's two difficulties to choose from. I chose normal because hard sounded like it was going to be too hard. You know, normal I had some trouble on parts too. I mean, there's not a whole lot more to say about it, I think. Go through levels, use that. I guess there are some secondary items I should talk about, too, which are kind of neat. There's no jetpack. They still got stuff like the med kit, the scuba gear, the armor. There are boots, but I think you only use them, like, once. And then there's also a gas mask, which largely replaces the boots in many places. And it's used to help against certain enemies who'll shoot gas at you. I think there's one part where you needed the gas mask on, even though you were walking and stuff. It seems weird that you needed the gas mask to walk and stuff. Seems like you should use boots, but whatever. Gas mask basically is an overall replacement for the boots for the most part, though. Also, what's kind of neat is that they change up the weapons and like the secondary items depending on your time period. So, like if you're back in the past, instead of your med kit, you'll get a doctor's bag, and like you'll get a different kind of like not a shotgun, but it's more like a rifle. And there are like multiple different kinds of each weapon as well, which is cool. I like that. And it's more than just like a palette swap, or not a palette, like an item, like I don't know. They're not just like swapping out the visual of the weapon for a different one. They're actually different weapons that have some different strengths and weaknesses, and it's actually really cool that they would do that. I think all the different periods too have a little bit to offer. The past and like also the present and also kind of the post-apocalyptic future kind of thing. We're more in the city, and the first part of the past one was more like in the west, and the other part was in like an older kind of city. And there's a lot of cool like atmosphere also. Like when you start off, there's some cool music in the game. Yeah, in-game music. I guess they can do that on the system. And like you're walking around the city and killing dudes, and it's cool. And then you go to like the post-apocalyptic future, and then it's like all like stuff's like blown up and stuff, and it's snowing, and it's quiet. It's very eerily silent out there. You just hear yourself like walking through like the snow, and like that's like a really cool like atmosphere change that they did there. And then there's like when you go into the past, the first part of the past is like a Wild West, and that's pretty cool. Like the atmosphere there, and like scenically it looks pretty sweet. And then there's also the other part of the past is like fighting off zombies actually for part of that. There's some sections fighting off some zombies, and it's actually pretty that's kind of creepy, you know. I think they do a good job making it spooky in parts. Like, there's some cool levels, some cool places, and some cool little things they tried to do with it to spice the game up a lot. And I don't know, it was really cool and interesting, and, like, it controlled well, so it was fun to play also. I mean, I really liked it. My biggest complaints, I guess, would be, well, I mean, like, there are bosses in it, but most of them you can just kind of glitch out and like hide in the starting area and kill them very easily. Except for the final boss, who was fucking awesome to fight. And then, I mean, okay, so I appreciate they were trying to do some like different stuff with the game to spice it up. But there are a few levels that the difficulty is just super hard, and it's mostly because they do shit that is unfair or that the game hasn't taught you to do, that are just like not fitting with the game. Like in one level, I went in and there are rocks falling from the ledges of cliffs, and I didn't see one of the rocks that was falling down. I couldn't see it from the angle that I was. I just didn't look up there, I guess. I didn't notice it. But it fell on me and it fucking killed me out of nowhere. I had, like, full health, and it fucking killed me in one hit. I think that's a little shitty, that, because, you know, when you die, you have to start off at the beginning of the level. And, it's fairly easy to die with some of these enemies, can be really strong. Like, those snipers will take out a shitload of your health with one shot, because the sniper rifle is really strong, so you have to be careful. If you're at low health, you can get killed in one shot, for sure. But then, like, that's also coupled along with the fact that, you know, like, the platforming is a little awkward, and Duke isn't super fast in this game, so it can be annoying that if you're being super careful and then something just kills you in one hit or super quickly out of nowhere that you weren't expecting, you can see how that would be frustrating to have to go back and do all the stuff over again, even though you were being careful in the first place. If the level only took you like 5 or 10 minutes, okay, but if you spent like half an hour on a level trying to be really careful, and then something came out of nowhere that you couldn't even predict and fucking killed you, and you had to do all that over again, you'd probably be a little bit upset. As I was a few times. And a couple levels that I had some beefs with. I think the one of the ones I had the biggest beef with was in the Wild West one. And this level, this is crazy, and I gotta tell you about this because it just pissed me off. Is that first of all, this entire level is timed. You have 10 minutes to do the entire level. So, right off the bat, that means since you're limited on time, you don't want to go around exploring. You don't want to try and find all the secrets or all the babes or try to, you know, explore all the level because you're on a time limit. You can't be fucking around, so you gotta move. That also means that you can't really be dilly-dallying against all these enemies because unless you've beaten the level before, you don't know how long it is or how much, you know, spare time you're gonna have to do things. So you're gonna want to keep moving, means you're gonna probably take a lot of damage while you're trying to move through the game faster than you've been trained to do, and it makes it really easy for the enemies to take advantage of you because you keep going out into the open or into places where there are a lot of them, or places where you don't know their position, stuff like that. Okay, really early on in the level, there's a part where you go down, you kill a couple guys, go down an elevator. Or when you come out of the elevator, start going down a tunnel. There's a weird thing on the side that's kind of weird indentation. You're like, I don't know what that's about. There's no ammo sitting there. I don't know. That's weird. You keep walking, all of a sudden the screen starts shaking, and a boulder comes down from behind you, rolls down the ramp, and kills you in one hit. Okay, so you find out that you're supposed to go to the side in the indentation so the boulder can go past you. This is that bullshit I'm talking about with one hit. Sucks, but I guess if you just did a bunch of damage, you just want to die anyway to restart with more health and have a better chance instead of wasting your time with the rest of the level, so whatever. It's near the beginning, I'll let it go. Then you go into here, and this level has these mine carts that you can ride in. That's cool, right? Kinda. You know, when you're in the mine cart, it goes into a first-person mode, and you can duck, which the game tells you can duck by hitting B. It tells you right when you get in there. Okay, that's good to know. And then there's a part while you're going through there that wants you to duck. And again, it tells you right before then to hit B to duck. Okay, well, I hit it there to duck under the rafter thing here, and then you can go under that and you won't get hit. And as you're going through, you're on these tracks, and it's going at a fixed speed. You have to shoot enemies that are on the sides view and stuff, and guess what? It's really easy for you to get hit. Pretty hard to hit some of those sons of bitches. And the thing is, this kind of sucks with the way the game works, because if you want to kill all of these enemies, that means that you have to, you know, kill all of them. You have to know all their positions, make sure you get them before you go out of those areas. And that means that if you're going to kill all the enemies and you miss some in one of those sections, you're fucked and you have to start the level over again. But I wasn't focused on getting that little award, so that didn't bother me too much. What did bother me is that they could just keep shooting me really easily, and it was hard for me to shoot them. After that first section, there's a place where you can kind of heal up a bit, you kill some dudes, and then there's a part where you have to, there's a minecart on a spinning track, you have to turn the turntable so that the track meets with the other track, and you can ride the minecart through the next area, because it's spun to the side. So you hit the switch to turn it, you have to go to the section where you have to jump across a few things. Now again, the platforming is a little awkward in this game, it's kind of hard to tell where you're going to land, so probably want to aim yourself a bit down to see your feet better. I guess that's the best I can do. You jump across a few platforms. If you go across the short way, there are less platforms, but they're smaller and it's way easier to fall off. So you probably want to go the long way, because if you fall off, you instantly die, and then you have to start the entire level over again. So that sucks. I didn't fall down there, but that's nice. You know, that's just nice of me, and it sucks that the game would put that there. You hit that, you get in the minecart, you go through another section like this, and again, this section is really hard because there's even more enemies. I got lucky and found a secret section on the side, and I didn't have any health bag or armor at that point, but I did find one in this little secret area right next to it by accident, and that helped a lot. I got in there, used that a couple times while I was going through there so I wouldn't die, trying to kill a bunch of dudes through that stuff. Then you get to this really fun part where you go down a hill. And, okay, it's going down a hill and the track goes down and then ramps back up a bit with a break in the track. Like, okay, I'm gonna go off a cool jump. That's interesting. Well, it goes down the hill, goes to that ramp, and then all of a sudden I awkwardly pop out and go back into third-person mode for a second, and then fall straight down with the cart, down to the bottom where it explodes and I die. Okay, so here's the thing. The game before, remember when I told you this? They told me how to duck, right? You hit B and you duck. It told me that before I went down that section, and it told me when I was next to the first thing that I had to duck under. So the game made damn sure I knew about this new kind of thing I had to do. Well, in this part, it didn't say anything about jumping. I mean, okay, so the cart goes down here. What do you expect? Well, of course, my first instinct was that, okay, well, I'm going to fly across that, right? Now, what other instinct is there? Maybe I'm supposed to duck in it, and then because I'm down, I won't pop out of it, and it'll go across? Maybe. Was I supposed to hit some kind of switch to go on to a different kind of track at some point? Did I just miss that? And then doing this was wrong, and, like, I failed? Maybe. I desperately did. I did it a second time and got there, and I just tried jumping, which was another one of my ideas. And I barely made it onto the next section of track. Why didn't the game tell me to jump across there? I don't know. I don't know at all. And that was kind of annoying, and I was just pissed that I had to die like that. I mean, like, there's no way for you to know that's going to happen the first time through. Unless you have fucking lightning reflexes, you're going to die there. And it sucks. So you get through that part, you kill some more dudes, and then you go to the final minecart area. And this time it's not even a minecart, it's just like a board on wheels to go on the track. I mean, this level is literally a rail shooter, which the game never even was. Plus, you can't go around looking for the babes, you can't go around looking for the secrets, because you can't just waste that fucking time, you know how much time you have left. Go to this last section, though, and at least they have some courtesy to give you a couple of things of health on this section, so that even if you get hit, as long as you don't fucking die, you can get a little bit of health back before you finally ride into the end on that last one. Where the rest of the babes were, where the rest of the secrets were, where the time machine part was, I don't fucking care. I don't know, I don't care. I'm not going to waste all that time doing all that stuff. This game just went... I'm sorry, I'm talking about that for so long and spent all that time on it, but that part of the level, that level itself doesn't make sense with the rest of the game, and it really annoyed me. Anyways. Duke Nukem 0 Hour is pretty good. I mean, if you have a Nintendo 64, you can probably pick this... I got this for like, what, like $10. You probably pick this up for something similar to that. It's really good if you're a Duke Nukem fan. It's a pretty nice game to find, you know, and it's not bad. I know it looks bad, I know it sounds bad, but it's actually pretty fun. It controls really well, and it's a good time if you like the character of Duke. And I don't know, I mean, I really enjoyed it, and I wouldn't say it's great, but it's pretty good. And especially if you just get it for $10, like, why not? It's fun. And you'll probably enjoy it. You know, you probably will. In fact, some of the stuff in here kind of reminds me of some other games. Sections kind of reminded me of, like Ocarina of Time, almost. And some sections reminded me a little bit of Jeff Wars Gemini. Some of it kind of reminded me of Grand Theft Auto stuff. You know, it's just like glimpses of other games in here at points. Maybe that's just me comparing loosely, but it's still it's good, and I think you guys would enjoy it if you liked Duke Nukem 64. If you like the character of Duke Nukem, this isn't a bad game to get. That's it. What do you have you guys played this game? Would you recommend it? What's your favorite Duke game? Leave it in the comments. What's your favorite Duke spin-off, I guess I maybe should say. I mean, it's not really a spin-off, but what's your favorite not Duke Nukem 3D game? That's kind of what I meant. Well, this review's gone on long enough. If you want me to review something else, leave it in the comments. Whatever else you want to say, leave it in the comments. And, well, until next time, I've been Sam, a real person, reviewing. So, a little note, I did play for the footage. As you saw, I played a 0 Hour in high-res mode, and it looks a little crisper. It doesn't look a whole lot better, though, and it definitely came at the price of some of the frame rate. There was not a lot of frame rate drop, but there was a bit. It was very heavy in that gas, which I don't remember being a problem in other spots, and also like just zooming in on some of the textures with the sniper was weirdly choppy. So try to play it on the normal setting for that if you want to have good performance, which I think is pretty important. It wasn't unplayable with the high res, but wasn't really worth the small increase in quality for the decrease in gameplay.